welcome back. My name is Zaria Ray Lee. If you didn't already know, today is day 29. That's right, day 29 of the 30-day Reset My Life Journaling Challenge. Ooh, let me close this door so I don't wake up my sister. Okay. All right. So, are you ready? Because we're going to jump right in. I already wrote my daily statements. I got our workshop ready, accountability through community, building accountability through community, okay? And I also have an anecdote sort of lesson in this workshop as well. So we're going to be going through a 1 through 12 step-by-step process you can do. You can either screenshot it when it comes up on the screen. We're also going to go through just an experience where I use this 1 through 12 step process to help me build accountability through community. And today's daily prompt, we're actually going to do the daily prompt before we do the workshop, just like always. But here we go. Okay. Today's daily statements. I started with my gratitude. This is what I just felt. I'm going to read it the way that I wrote them. So I wrote my gratitude, then my appreciation, then my affirmation. My gratitude today. I am grateful for the steps I take to give myself a life that feels fulfilling and embodies my versions of success. My appreciation. I am proud of who I am and all the versions of me it took to get here. My affirmation. I am empathetic, giving, observant, able to see and feel beauty, and a holistic version of myself. I embody authenticity and grace. All right. So those are the daily statements today. I don't know if you can tell, but today it definitely started out a little rough. I didn't get as much sleep as I would have liked. Okay. Woke up in the middle of the night to my kitty cat meowing, meowing, meowing bad. Okay. And it was a little irritable because you woke me up in the middle of my sleep. Uh, but we're here. Okay. And today's daily prompt. Here we go. Because after this, we're only one day away from the end. After this, day 30 is the only one left. So are you ready? Are you ready? Here we go. All right. Day 29 of the 30-day journaling challenge is for each of the following, create a list of regular habits, tasks, and or actions that will occur this year. So list regular habits that will occur daily, regular habits that will occur weekly, regular habits that will occur monthly, regular habits that will occur quarterly, and finally, regular habits that will occur on a yearly basis. Now, these don't always have to be done on the same day, okay? Just know that you want to do them once per day, once per week, once per month, once per quarter, once per year, and actually put that in today's daily journaling answer, okay? Now, you don't have to do analysis with this, but you can take it back to days 26 and 27 to sort of put these habits inside your calendar, especially the quarterly, yearly, and monthly habits. You can add those to your deadlines, to your regular deadlines that are going to happen, to your regular checklist and milestones that are going to happen. So that way they actually happen, okay? Now, for me, as you guys write down these prompts, I'll tell you a few of the things that happen daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly for me. So, things that happen daily are my daily statements. This one is actually new. I didn't keep it up after the first 30-day journaling challenge, but after this month's journaling challenge, I've decided to just continue it for the rest of my life every single day. So, daily statements that actually affirm me, appreciate me, and bring me gratitude for myself. Also, on a daily basis, I drink water. I got to put that in there because sometimes, especially in more depressive modes of my life or really, really anxious ones where I stay stagnant in bed and cannot move, I forget to drink water. I don't even eat my fruit. So, water and fruit are things that are also on my daily list. Okay. On a weekly basis, I make sure that I move my body multiple times. I make sure that I'm resetting my meal prep for the week, cleaning out that sort of area of the fridge so that I can put in more nutrition for myself. And what else do I do on a weekly basis that I'd like to share with you all? Oh, I do my weekly resets. So sometimes I hadn't been getting to them all, specifically during 2024. But this year, as I'm resetting, I'm like, no, let me make sure that I do my weekly reset because then I'll always do my monthly, quarterly, and yearly resets. And when I do my weekly reset, I'm more likely to do my daily resets, especially as I keep the habit up. Okay. Um, Monthly things that I do on a monthly basis are things like, go to certain doctors, or maybe I do have a specific set of grocery items that I get on a monthly basis. So I get those. I also do my sort of emotions check in with how I'm feeling on my menstrual cycle, just the cycle as a whole. I do that on a monthly basis. On a quarterly basis, I do my quarterly resets. I also have make sure that I do at least one celebration of self each quarter. That's something that I'm implementing for this year. It's not something I've done intentionally before, but it's something I noticed I did naturally for a few years. And then one year, I don't think I did it every single quarter. So kind of felt those effects. And something that I do on a yearly basis, I do, of course, a birthday celebration that's specific to my birthday. I also do a whole yearly reset. I check in with certain friends at least on a yearly basis, like if they're friends that I've had from childhood, but maybe we don't talk every day or even every month. Just make sure I check in with them, see how that's going. And then what else do I do on a yearly basis? A yearly basis. You get your annual physical on a yearly basis, okay? My eye exams on a yearly basis. So literally write down everything or task that you make sure happens on those specific regularities and recurring ways, okay? And that is the journaling prompt for day 29. That's it. Once you finish writing down all of those, put them inside of your milestones and your deadlines for yourself, you have a whole year ahead of you to look at that you can say, "Oh, I have to finish, not have to. I get to. I want to finish these things by this time. I'm excited to finish these things by this time. I'm excited to do this before my deadline even ends. Oh my God, look at how much I've been able to journey through life so far, and I'm still journeying on with even more milestones to come." So treat yourself to that sort of way of thinking. You get to do it. It's a want that you actually have. These things don't have to be as hard to do. And I realized that one of those things, like I was mentioning in yesterday's live stream, is to just tell myself that I desire and I want to do it. And it's something that I actually like, even if it's not the most exciting part of what I like about the whole experience. All right. And with that, we are moving into today's workshop, which is building accountability through community. Now, I have a full screenshot list of just 1 through 12 steps that you guys can take yourself. And you can screenshot it, you can down, you can pause the video and write it. But I'm going to read them straight through. And then I'm going to literally go directly into me telling you my experience with these 12 steps. And I'll go into them one by one, kind of saying the steps again as I go into that part of my story and exposition. Okay. So, for building accountability through community, the first thing that you're definitely going to want to do, or that I did specifically, is I got to know accountability versus shame versus blame. These are all very different things, and they affect the way that you choose to go about your goals differently. And I'm going to really break down all of these as I go into the exposition. So I'm just going to continue to read, okay? Number 2, what is community to you? Okay. Number 3, recognize where you need accountability. Number 4, recognize where you long for community. Number 5, acknowledge why accountability is necessary for you at this time or this part of yourself or even these aspects of your life right now. Number 6, notice when and why you pull away from or sabotage your community experiences. Number 7, create self accountability systems. Number 8, foster community with self. Number 9, embrace and accept current community. Number 10, source avenues and opportunities for both community and accountability. Number 11, seek aligned environments and communities. And finally, number 12, know when you need grace and how to give yourself grace. Okay? So, like I said, pause to be able to go ahead and write them all down, but I'm also going to go ahead and go through them. So if you want to just write them down as I go through them, you'll also have all the notes that go under it. Okay. So with number 1, when it comes to knowing account, I think the connection went away. So this is some fault. This is the fault of caused all of these consequences. That's what blame is. Shame is when you attach guilt to that blame. You blamed yourself and then you attach guilt to it. Okay. Accountability is saying, I have control over myself, my actions, my choices. So in the future, if I want things, I'm choosing to do things differently. Accountability. Okay. So I'm going to wrap those up one more time. Life, because you're going to grow as a person, which means everything about what you do and how you do it is going to change. It's going to shift. It's going to transform. Now, back in uh, June of 2024, I realized that I needed a little bit of help with my personal growth journey because so far I had just been blaming myself and giving myself a lot of shame based on choices I made in the past instead of accepting the choices I made in the past, learning from them, and becoming more accountable with the choices that I currently and futurely make. Okay. So as June of 2024 was going on, I decided, you know what? I need a little extra accountability around me. I felt like my community specifically wasn't catering to all of the things that I needed when it came to accountability. So I'm going to move on to number two so that we can actually start getting into those, okay? Number two, what is community to me? I realized that my community wasn't actually fulfilling those accountability needs, those needs to feel connected and like I resonate and share certain stories, but I also am still growing and being more forward thinking with my circumstances. My community at the time was very, very small and very, very um I was putting different people and spaces inside my community that didn't actually belong there. Because when I defined what community meant for me, I realized that community is reciprocal for me. It engages in a certain level of emotional and intellectual intelligence. It engages in a certain level of empathy, understanding, and support. And a lot of the people that I was trying to place in my community didn't necessarily of emotional and intellectual intelligence that I was looking to fulfill with different conversations, different interactions. So I defined community for myself by just understanding what was and wasn't working for me. Okay. And that does also go into number nine. So I'm kind of going to be jumping around a little bit, which is why I said to go ahead and write down the different 1 through 12, or to just take it as you need to, how I give you the story. So with number nine, when it comes to embracing and accepting your current community, that doesn't just mean keeping them there. Acceptance is accepting what is and leaving behind what you think something was. So I accepted that the community I was looking for and the community that makes me fulfilled wasn't actually the community that I was trying to outwardly define for myself. And I had to accept that fact. I had to embrace that fact so that I could go and embrace what full, fulfilled, satisfying community means to me. Okay, with number three, recognize where you need accountability. I knew that my personal growth journey in specifically my career and um, the my overall health as well as dating, I knew that those three things were really just kind of backsliding in ways that I didn't even realize in 2023. Very much backsliding. And it was because I was trying to make community with people who I knew needed community, but they weren't meant to be in my community. Okay. So I had to recognize that I needed to be accountable for the different spaces that I chose to go to for community. I had to be accountable with myself for the different people I chose to let inside of my community, because those are things that directly influenced my personal growth journey, my career journey, my finance journey, my health journey. Those things directly influenced it. So if I don't want to end up in those positions again, it's my job to be accountable with those aspects of my life, which started with community. Okay, with number four, recognize where you long for community. I was really, really looking for people to talk more with about not just personal growth, but specifically my career and financial growth. Okay, those things were things that I wasn't even like, I knew I had a plan, I knew I even had strategy, I knew that I had very plausible and feasible ideas that were already starting to be executed. I was just stopping myself in different ways. And I knew that I needed community and people to talk these things out with so that I could actually move through and process all of the things that were keeping me back and I could actually go through those things. I was really longing for community when it came to embracing my personal journey and seeing success in my own way. Okay. And then number five, acknowledge why accountability is necessary for me at that time. Like I was saying, I realized that a lot of my experiences, specifically in 2023, were based around just the people that I thought I wanted to be around instead of the environments, mindsets, spaces that I knew actually aligned with who I am. And in turn, I would always want to be around instead of wanting to be around someone who I could really only stand 30% of the time. That's not a fun time. That's not a good time, especially when you really involve yourself with that person, or maybe that person becomes your best friend or your boyfriend or whatever it is. Maybe even that person is just somebody you've always known all your life and you feel like you shouldn't let them go because what is loyalty if not to stay with them? That's not what loyalty is. But that's a whole different story. We can get into loyalty on different days because I think we really need to get into it, especially as a Black community. Like, loyalty is not what most of us say it is. Okay. Now, after number five, and acknowledging why I needed those specific accountability parts of my life, because I didn't want to end up in those same cycles again. I wanted to get myself out of these cycles of staying stuck and being pushed back. Like literally, I would go half a step forward or even two steps forward, and then I go 70 steps back. And I'd be like, how did I get here? I wasn't even born here. How did I get here? I was not born here. So it was really making sure, okay, I had to acknowledge that that wasn't working for me and move into accountability. Okay. And that goes into not only number six, but it also goes into number seven. Okay. So number six is notice when and why you pull away from and sabotage community. And number seven is create self accountability systems. So the way that I noticed when and why I was pulling away from certain communities, it wasn't just communities that were good for me or beneficial to me, because I definitely had moments and years where I did that, and that was sort of a self isolation mode to kind of protect myself because I didn't know what exactly was making my depression so deep or even causing my anxieties to run so high. So I just had to pause and take a moment so that I could notice when and why I pull away from certain communities and certain support groups. So, like I was saying, the reason back in 2023 I was pulling away from that support group is because it wasn't necessarily supportive. I only liked the people that I was around 30% of the time. That's not a good way to feel around people that you're supposed to have inside your inner circle, right? I really, really started to understand that I was self sabotaging my ability to have aligned community by choosing to be around and stay around people that I knew were not meant for me to be around. We have way different mindsets, different values, different ethics and morals, even. Why are you around people that you literally know would do you so dirty based on your view of life? Why would you do that other than feeling like that's what is supposed to happen? And that's why I started to examine it. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. Let me recognize that I need these accountability systems and let me put some accountability systems in place. So, number seven, I created self accountability systems. Now, the self accountability systems I decided to use really rely on the preventative actions I take. So, when it comes to finances, because I know I spoke about that one first, I make sure that I have almost all my cards locked all the time. So that way I have to intentionally choose to physically spend certain money, or I have to intentionally choose, oh, is this the right time for me to go ahead and leave this card unlocked so that certain bills can come out, or do I need to just wait until the bill is actually due so that other stuff doesn't take it too, or try to take it rather. Um, and then self accountability systems I built for my personal growth included joining a accountability group. And the way that I did this, okay, was actually by seeking out different aligned environments, which is number 11 on the list. Like I said, we're going to be jumping around the list because I'm giving you my experience with building accountability through community. And it doesn't always happen linearly, okay? It's almost never going to happen in a linear way. It's kind of going to jump around, and you're kind of going to repeat certain lessons over and over until things stick. Okay. All right. I was on number 7, creating self accountability systems. Okay. With my physical health, the way that I decided to create self accountability systems was by actually tracking certain things. So I knew that I needed to track. I'm somebody who menstruates, so I knew I needed to track that. I'm somebody who has a lot of anxiety and it physically affects my body, so I needed to start tracking that. I literally have a running list of different anxiety symptoms that I notice every few times I have different things pop up, and I actually write in that list the different things on there. So that way when I'm feeling kind of stuck or I don't even know what's going on, I go to that list and I say, okay, some of these things are happening. So, you know what? I think I'm in a heightened anxiety state. Let me go ahead and soothe myself, calm myself down so that I can move through this. Okay. Number 8 is foster community with yourself. Okay. And when you start to do all of these things and implement more habits, start to recognize what communities don't align with you, start to actually acknowledge and understand what community means to you, what accountability is, you're going to start to build that relationship and community with self. That's also what this whole 30-day journaling challenge does as well. It helps you build community and trust and safety and support within yourself. Okay. And the way that I went about doing that was literally, I decided to do um, the first 30-day live stream journaling challenge, which was the Regain Your Power 30-day journaling challenge. And that was the first time that I actually felt like I was building a community for myself within myself. Like I had felt like I built a relationship with myself before, but to feel like I had actual community within myself, like even just me as one person, to be able to have the aspects and the characteristics of community, that was really where it happened for me in September of 2024. So, doing different things that have you actually connect with yourself every single day on a regular basis, those are things that can help you foster community with self. Okay. Number 9, which I kind of spoke about a bit before, is embracing and accepting your current community. And another way that I did this afterwards is I went back to just friends that I knew were actually aligned with who I am as a person deep down and will always be aligned with me for the rest of my life. We just may have periods where, or different eras where, sometimes we may not need to talk about every aspect of our life, or we may need to hold off on talking about one specific aspect of our life. So that was another way that I chose to embrace and accept community. Okay, number 10, and we have 2 more to go through here, okay? And I'll go ahead and show the list again after this because I think a few new people jumped in so that you can have a chance to screenshot it. You can even just go scroll back inside the live stream to be able to see it. But number 10, source avenues and opportunities for both accountability and community, okay? So the different ways I sourced these opportunities, I started looking for just different groups, Facebook, Reddit. I would look for different groups on just different apps and things that I saw. I'd go to eventbrite.com or events.com and look for different events to go to that were catered to my hobbies or different things that I was interested in and passionate about at the time. And through those is how I actually found the specific accountability group that I was telling you guys about, where I actually am able to track almost every aspect of my life. I can go in that accountability group and be able to have any discussion and be able to come back with any type of support I need. And the only way I found that is by seeking out different sources and opportunities for me to have community. Start with your hobbies. What hobbies do you have? What things are you passionate about? What projects are you currently working on that you want to talk to people about? What are things that you want to connect with people on? That's how you start to source different ways to find community. Okay. Number 11 is seek aligned environments and communities, which can kind of sound a bit redundant if you're like, well, we already talked about what community is for you and sourcing those different opportunities based on your hobbies and things, but that's not the only alignment you need. At the beginning of me talking about my experience, I said and mentioned that for me, community involves a certain level of empathy, a certain level of emotional and intellectual intelligence. It involves a certain level of support. And all of these things can only come after spending a little bit of time and having conversations with people. Just because you have the same hobby as somebody, or the same passion as somebody, or just because you may even come from the same place, you may talk the same way, it doesn't mean all the fundamental values and ethics and morals that you actually have are aligned with this other person. Because if you surround yourself with people who have different ethics, morals, and values than you, they're going to choose to do things that they think are completely okay and you think are violations to the commitment and relationship that you have with each other, whether that's friends or just accountability buddies, or maybe even more than that. Whatever it is, you could even do that with them. If y'all don't have the same values, the same morals, and ethics, then you can do something where you think is completely okay and they have taken the worst offense in the world to it. So make sure you're seeking out aligned environments, okay? The way that I did this is I scope out the scene for a good bit before I decided to go ahead and dip my toe in. So the accountability group that I actually was put into, of the original accountability buddy that I found via a whole different, I think it was like a productivity Reddit or a journaling Reddit group. It was one of those. I found this original accountability buddy. I've been dealing with them for a few months and realized that this relationship is actually really helping me. Okay. Then they mentioned, oh, I think you would be a great fit for this other group that I'm in. Based on the information I knew about them already and my interactions with them, I felt comfortable enough to join. And then I felt comfortable enough to go ahead and just look through all the chats and things that were already going on in the past, things that were going on, to make sure that this was an aligned environment for me. It very much was based on what I saw, but then I had to test it out a little bit. I had to give sort of some things that I was dealing with, because that's kind of how you kind of get introduced to the group. It's, you may be dealing with something, or you have a resource to share that can help everybody, and you just kind of share it. So I shared it. I waited for some responses. I saw that it was going to be perfectly fine. This is a great environment for me. It was supportive, uplifting, empowering. It was even helping me solve different problems I didn't know I could get help solving. Like, so that's how I figured out how to just stay in that aligned environment and seek it out. You have to kind of observe. Sometimes you might end up in an environment that doesn't work for you, and then you got to dip out. You got to leave. You gotta go. Okay. All right. So, number 12, this is the last one. Know when you need grace and how to give it to yourself. Okay. And with grace, the first thing you need to do is also define that. If you did the 30-day regain your power challenge, you already have a definition of it. And you could even update that if you feel like your definition before doesn't really wholly encompass your new definition of grace, go ahead and give yourself a new one. But certain topics that, we talk about after this Reset My Life 30-day journaling challenge, I definitely touched on in the Regain Power challenge. So if you want to define things like grace for yourself, community, how to actually figure out your vision, then revisit the Regain My Power 30-day journaling challenge. Okay. But I knew that I needed grace when every single thought I had was sort of a negative about me, or telling myself that I wasn't doing enough. I was like, okay, that doesn't even make any sense. So let me go ahead and let me just track what's going on in my life. I decided to take some accountability first. I was like, okay, maybe I am doing that. Let me just track what I'm doing each day throughout the day, and let me literally look at every single hour, every single minute, and see what's actually going on. Am I actually doing enough? Am I really still needing to do things more? And I realized very quickly that I just wasn't acknowledging those things about myself. So for me, grace is including the positive things and focusing on the positive things about myself, about my characteristics, focusing on the progress that I've made, and giving myself points of rest when I need rest. That's what grace is to me. And that's what it has been for about a year and a half. Grace before just used to be give yourself a break, or don't beat yourself up too much. But now I have more of a system that actually helps me focus in on that grace and just really take it all in. So that is when and how I kind of started developing that grace for myself. I was like, you know what? I can't sit here and think about myself negatively like that all the time. It's making things worse. It's not helping me do anything for myself to think that way or to feel that way about myself, even if the people in my physical environment were telling me that and trying to feed it into me, because they don't see or understand the full extent of my life and what I'm doing or how I'm thinking in the first place. So, also, another definition of giving myself grace is listening to me before I listen to other people, knowing myself before I let other people tell me about myself. So, that's also a part of grace for me. And it just depends on what grace is for you. So, now that we've gone through all 12, I'll go ahead and read the list one more time so that everyone can see it and we can kind of just discuss that. Okay. And definitely screenshot it real quick if you need to, so you can have all 12, um, and be able to write them down. And you can also always pause, but I'm going to put my face up here so you can really see me go through these one more time. Okay. Number one, no accountability versus shame versus blame. Okay. Number two, what is a community to you? Number three, recognize where you need accountability. Number four, recognize where you long for community. Number five, acknowledge why accountability is necessary for you at this time or within this aspect of your life. Number six, notice when and why you pull away from or sabotage community. Number seven, create self accountability systems. Number eight, foster community with self. Number nine, embrace and accept current community. Number 10, source avenues and opportunities for both community and accountability. Number 11, seek aligned environments and communities. And finally, number 12, know when you need grace and how to give yourself grace. Okay, so that concludes our full day 29. I did the prompt at the beginning because I think a few people popped up after I did the prompt, but I did the prompt at the beginning, so you can go back, okay? And I did my daily statements too. But today was a really good one. I'm glad we did this. I'm glad we were here. That concludes the Building Accountability Through Community workshop, and we have one day left. That's it. One day. So honestly, so far through this journey, Please share one main thing that you really have learned or resonated with when it comes to this full 30-day journaling challenge that we've done so far. Share in the comments, that thing that you've learned that you resonated with. Or if you don't want to share it in the comments, you feel like it's a little too personal, then go ahead and share it with somebody else that you know in your life that is also going to resonate. Literally just click the share button and then add a little bit of your message to it, what you learned, what you've been gaining from this resource that I've been giving from myself and from my experiences. Just go ahead and share it with somebody that you know. Why gatekeep knowledge that's going to help us all? We can all be uplifted and supported and empowered by certain knowledge. So why not do that? It'll help us all in society to be better with ourselves, because then we'll be better with each other. Okay. Lastly, I've been leaving off with one thing I've learned about myself. One thing I learned about myself today is, yes, I can power through. No, I don't always have to, nor should I, but sometimes it's okay to power through certain things, even if I have different expectations from myself. So I'll give a little bit more context. Last night, I didn't get much sleep, and I was kind of waking up a lot throughout the middle of the night from a lot of noise. And I also take some anti-anxiety medications now that make me really sleepy and groggy. But if you wake me up during it, it makes me a bit irritable. And I was just very, very irate in the middle of the night. I, it was a lot. So I woke up really tired, groggy, a little cranky, and I don't usually wake up cranky. It was a new feeling for me. And that sort of funky, tired, groggy feeling lasted for a good long time. I'm actually still kind of tired, but it's bedtime now, so I'm ready to go. I didn't want to mess up my sleep schedule because I'm having to do things early in the morning right now. And I just learned that sometimes I can power through, even if I don't have to, even if I don't want to. Sometimes I can, and it's okay. I didn't have a bad time powering through today. I just wanted to make sure I didn't change my sleep schedule too much so that I wasn't groggy again on the next night. I wanted to make sure that I actually got a full night's worth of sleep tonight. So in order to do that, I was accountable with myself by saying, you know what? I gotta make sure that I don't fall asleep in the middle of the day, because then what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be awake all night, and that's not what I want. So that's what I learned about myself today. And I that's it. I'm really, wow. Day 30 is literally tomorrow. Literally tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow.